Hello, welcome. I'm Caravenserai and today we are going to be taking a look at how to plan for maximizing your quota and trade in general in C3 Augustus. This video specifically is made because the Reconquered campaign, as well as many other custom maps featuring custom empires, will use often very high quota numbers above 80, so a single trade route could potentially buy up to several hundred goods per year from your city, as well as sell you several hundred goods. This is especially important on maps that require you to subsist your city entirely on imports of food, and that will become basically your choke point in terms of growth, and how much you can import per year will determine how many people can you support in your city on these sorts of maps. And that is why this video is gonna be important. It is going to merge several concepts I talked about before, such as the highway, as well as Caravenserai and possibly a lighthouse, and we'll be taking a look at how to plan ahead for setting up proper trade and how to identify the need for it, as in when do you make the decision that I should plan for a highway, because if you don't plan ahead for it, due to the nature of it, since it's 2x2 wide and is undesirable, you might want to keep it sort of keep place for this highway from the start of the game, so that you don't build anything in the way of it for the future, right? That makes sense. As for some of the other things that I'm going to be showing off is advanced processing of resources, which is kind of tying into this whole concept of trade and how to maximize efficiency of your trade routes. As I've explained before, you will want to keep your warehouses close together and minimize the amount of warehouses the traders go to, and so that minimizes it's called trader ping pong, which means caravans going from one place on the map to another before leaving the map. You really want to eliminate that completely on maps like this and just make them come in, trade, and leave as fast as possible. That's the whole idea. And for achieving this, we could use the same warehouse for multiple kinds of goods, so that we keep only 8 on hand. Especially useful now with depots. What you can do is also manage processing. Like, for example, you would have a trade route. I'm gonna show everything that I talk about here in the video as well, but for now, just imagine that you are importing a resource, like for example iron, that you are processing into weapons to then sell back to this trade route or even to another trade route, but you don't have the space to really fit this around your optimal trade route position or warehouse position for a trade. So you would accept that iron in your import warehouse, and then you would use a depot to bring this iron somewhere else, where you would use a warehouse to accept said iron, not allow traders, process the iron into weapons, and then use cart depot to bring those weapons back to the trade route to be sold. And depots can then act as a sort of a buffer, because the warehouse will often then have ox carts waiting to deposit more weapons immediately when someone buys a little bit. All you really need is capacity of 8 goods of that type, even if caravan is able to buy more because you have Caravenserai or Mercury, Grand Temple bonus or things like that, or you have multiple trade routes buying it. You will basically not run out of that 8 capacity, because it's gonna continuously get deposited by those carts. And if you have like more than one depot, then the amount of oxes that could be waiting to deposit those weapons can be quite staggering. And so depending on the production, you can actually have this be very efficient, not have to worry about, oh, my warehouse only accepts 8 of this good and now I'm not maximizing the trade. No, with depots you can build up this buffer in terms of how the oxes are waiting to deposit these goods into the warehouse. Now, with this out of the way, I'm gonna just quickly make a map, which is going to be a very simple custom map with this kind of trade setup, and so I can explain what goes into decision making in it and how does it look like when we want to make as much import or export happen at the same time on the same map as possible. I'm going to show you numbers and how it's going to impact the city, right? So we are here on a custom map, which is a very rudimentary test scenario I created, which is going to test our available quota we can sell per year for this city we will create. And so when we take a look at our empire here, I made a custom empire, and so we are here in tutorial city, and we'll be trading with city 1, which is going to sell us up to 2000 units of fruit. It will buy 400 units of clay. And then we have city 2, which is also a land trader nodes on an island, and it buys weapons and it sells iron, as the example I mentioned in the intro. And so we know that these things are like this, and we can plan ahead for it. Before I make a highway though, I'm going to make a rudimentary city and then establish the clay industry, and then we will see how much clay can we sell to these caravans per year. And then we can build up a Caravenserai, Grand Temple to Mercury, and highway, and see how these will affect the numbers of quota per year. Something to note is this is an enormous map. I'm not using the most distant length of this trader that could be there, but I've made sure to add cliffs so that this is clearly a pattern that we can't really do whatever we want and put all of our production here, especially since water is here. If we want to use that clay, we need to transport it to this area. And when I take a look at that, I would say make clay here and then pick a spot, preferably near the staircase, so that we could put warehouses around here. And this is gonna be our trade basically. First is gonna be a warehouse for imports, then they will go and buy our exports, and then the caravan's gonna leave the map. And that's how we want to set it up. If you add your exports before your imports, the caravan will first go here, then return to the exports, and then leave the map. You want to minimize that. If your quota is an issue and is very large, you want them to come into the map, go and sell you whatever you are buying, then go and pick up whatever you are selling, and then leave as soon as possible, as I explained earlier. You will see it in practice as well. So I'm gonna be right back when this initial settlement is established. So I'm back, and we have a rudimentary housing block with an empty granary waiting for fruit. We don't need to care about that for now, but just know it's here. I've set up sufficient production so that we can produce a lot of clay, and we have a full warehouse of it, as well as 4 depots that are carting over the clay to our warehouse here near the trade route, which there is a 1 tile of road right there, and that is gonna basically allow this warehouse to function, as it only needs one road tile. If you are playing without if you are playing without global labor pool, you of course need to kind of fix this, let it work a little bit differently, perhaps have a house on this side or even on the cliff, things like that, but that shouldn't really matter. For no global labor pool users like here, what you would do is, instead of one of these clay pits, you would usually have a single tent and then feed it, perhaps so that your Augustus doesn't kill it with plague and sentiment. But yeah, just don't build an actual housing block, but instead use a tent or a couple of tents to provide labor access. In any case, that's not the focus of this video. So as I explained, we have this set up now, and oxes are waiting here. You can see how many of them are by the shadows are waiting, and this is gonna establish the baseline of how much we can export per year. And so we will be waiting until January, and then when January hits, we'll open that trade out, and then we will see how much can we export until December. Okay, so let's just quickly breeze through the months. October, November, December, January. Okay, let's open this trade route to City 1, start exporting clay, and now we will wait and see how much we will export. See that the oxes are delivering, and they immediately are coming back for more, while the caravans always buy stuff and leave, and hopefully we can maximize. If I made a mistake and we needed more resources here, that would be a bit of a bummer. Yeah, the warehouse was empty there for a second, which is not a perfect test. You would want it to be always completely stocked for a perfect test to happen, but this will do. It will give us an approximation. So we have December. let it run for a little bit, and then see how much we exported. We exported 116 units of clay without any highway, without a Caravenserai, and without a Mercury Temple bonus, right? And so I'm gonna now go ahead and build these monuments which I just mentioned, which is Grand Temple to Mercury and Caravanserai, and build a highway, which I'm gonna do with you to give you some tips. And then I'm gonna get back to you. Also, I'm gonna start importing food so that we can actually feed this block, as I will need more labor. So let's just quickly set that up. You see I'm not accepting any traders here. This is crucial so that they don't come here, as I explained earlier. So let's go ahead and we are accepting fruit, and we will go ahead and set this warehouse, which is accepting 8, to also accept 8 fruits. And we will be importing said fruit. It's from the same city. And so when it's the same warehouse, you know, actually, like, it's preferable not to have multiple warehouses for this. So they'll be selling us fruit now, and we will want to go ahead and add some depots. So I'll add, let's say, 4 of these. Get an engineer prefect, since car depots can burn. And start getting fruit from warehouse 3 to Grenade 2. Copy, paste, paste, paste. And this should now fill up, so I'm gonna get back to you soon. Now, before we launch the real test, I've completed the monuments, and we'll be picking up a trade policy for Caravanserai, which is of course going to be relevant to this. And it is, we want it to be the capacity for land traders. I just need to wait for population flow in. Let's take a look. Mercury Temple. So this increases our trader capacity by 50% already, and then we could reduce consumption, which is not really what we are after. So we'll just keep the standard Mercury blessing. And let's take a look at this. It has 15 out of 20 employees, so let's wait until people go back into the city, and we have 13 left. There we go. Let's pick Concilium Quantitas, so 20% extra consumption, but it carries 4 extra goods for each caravan. So this alone will boost the amount of quota we can do per year substantially. I've also added more production and oxes, so hopefully this will result in even more clay being deposited continuously here, and we also want to bring more fruits back here, so I'm gonna add another depot for these. So just copy paste that, and now a highway. So you can build a highway like this. It boosts movement speed by 100% for people that are on it, and so this would work perfectly fine. People will still use it and it still works. They can diagonally pass through the tiles and they don't get slowed down at all, but it looks really hideous, and a lot of people don't like how it looks. So what we can do instead is pick a starting site and just build it like this, and they will follow the highway as well, as they will calculate their shortest path, and if it is by using the highway, they'll actually use it as they should, so you don't need to worry about that too much. You pay for each tile you want to build. It costs 100 because it's 4x4. If you expand it by 2, you see it costs 150, which means 25 for each tile, and it will smartly calculate that. Also levy, it costs levy per year. Each tile of highway will have a cost associated with it in levy, so per year you will be paying 12 denarii per square of highway, so that can add up to a substantial levels. But on most maps that have very high quota, it is well worth it to have this. It also boosts immigration speed, and it's just overall good. So, you know, unless there is a tactical reason why not to have it, you should probably consider having this if there is a map that has a lot of custom empires quota. So I'm gonna be just building this as like this. I don't want to drag it, so I'm just gonna go ahead and build it myself as I want. And then when dealing with the warehouse, I want to keep that tile of road. That tile of road is, by the way, determining where the walkers interact with the warehouse. So the traders will come to that tile to trade because it's at road access. If it was like here, they would come here. So we want it to be near the roofed area. I like to have it that way. So there's a road right there. We have a highway right here, and so we can just do this. And now I'm just gonna go ahead. Well, it still kind of derps out, so I'm just gonna quickly go ahead and fill this in. This is not perfect. Usually want to be more careful with this, but I'm just gonna quickly do that and just fill it in. and it can get quite expensive as you saw, but that's not really the point. So now I want to see how big of a difference this makes, and just for the sake of speeding this up even more, I'm gonna add a highway here to benefit our carters, because they do actually benefit from things like this as well. So I want it to be, we don't want to connect it. The highway can be accessed by destination walkers, by the way, and we really don't want that to happen. So the carters from the clay pits could decide to deposit clay there if there was a direct access to the highway. We don't want that to happen, so just have it like this. This is insane debt, but that should be fine. We boost all of our trade and we wait until next year so I can see the fresh quota and monitor the clay if there's always enough. Actually, I'll have problems with that here, so I'm gonna have to resort to some cheating. Custom events. I explained this in my video about debugging, by the way, so you can use this. This is basically cheating, but since this is a test, I don't feel bad for doing it. So I'll be adding. Let's add like 50,000, so I don't have to worry about this. Adjust money. Yes. Let's wait a month. We got the money, and hopefully we will have enough clay. Let's see. I might add extra cards to this, and perhaps here as well. Gods are getting mad as well. I'm sorry, this is turning into a mess. It's because of the population increase, so let's just quickly add some more temples so we don't get cursed, because that could screw up with the test as well. So let's go ahead and do that. And now that we've set that up, let's wait until next year, November, December, and January. Okay, we won. So it's January now. We exported 112, 116, something like that last year. So let's see how much we can export now with a highway and Grand Temple to Mercury, as well as Caravenserai, and how much that's gonna impact the quota. December. Let's check it. And it's full. We completely exhausted it, and we could even import more fruit that way. Since, you know, they always sell you the same amount as they buy, the capacity is not shared. So they can buy 8 units and sell 8 units at the same time without any bonuses. Now they can do even more. And so you see how tremendous of an impact this could have. But keep in mind, this is not worth it on every map. It's only worth it if the quota is exceeding your capacity for trade. If you check in December what your quota is and you see, I haven't been, let's say that this is your exports, right? And I've not been selling as much as I should. Well, maybe it's the time to invest into some upgrades concerning the quota capacity, right? And I'm gonna also show you in practice what I meant by dealing with the iron. So we have this warehouse already, perfectly fine. We don't have to add more. You could. If I was to add more warehouses, I would definitely consider putting one right here. So there's a tile right there, and they can just ping pong between the two very quickly. Or you can have one right here, which would also work. So we could have this one. But for me personally, I'm just gonna use this one. This is perfectly fine, and I'm gonna accept weapons and iron. 8 units and 8 units. And what we'll do, I would say that, well, I want to process this elsewhere. This would not be sufficient space, even though I could fit quite a few workshops here. I would say that I want to make it elsewhere. And so what I would do is pick a warehouse. We would want to pick this so that we can surround it with workshops. I'm actually gonna plan the workshops first. So let's see. I would want something like this. Then I would want a warehouse. And this is all to maximize the amount of goods we can potentially make with this one warehouse. It is always possible to add more warehouses to deposit more iron, but this will be sufficient. And I believe that this will get covered by this one warehouse quite well. The road layout is a bit of a mess, but it seems to me like that's gonna work. We could also use roadblocks, of course, and or limit or split it to 2 pieces and use more services. I'm gonna choose to believe it's gonna be fine. We definitely don't want to accept any traders here. We will be accepting. I'm gonna do 16 iron. this could accept more, so it always has some on hand and 16 weapons. And then we will want depots, and so we'll want quite a few of these, so I'm gonna go with 4. And we want to start getting weapons from, let's wait until this activates, weapons from 3 to 5. Oh no, sorry, the other way around, from 5 from here to the trading warehouse, and use it for that. And then we'll do iron from the trading warehouse to here. And now traders won't come here, we'll process our weapons and then cart them back, right? And we also need to set this up so that we open this route and we import iron and we export them weapons. And let's see how that will work. So we have the labor for it. So now we should start seeing some iron being deposited. It is. And so when we give it time, we should see the efficiency. This is crucial so that the carter that's depositing the iron from the warehouse into the workshops is the same carter that would be used if you set this to get. It would be the same cart that goes around and tries to grab resources from elsewhere. That's why it's actually really important to have it done with the depots in the Augustus, so that you can increase the efficiency of this substantially. I also noticed that my layout here is like really cursed. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just quickly solve this because this is embarrassing. Let's just go ahead and do that, and we can roadblock this and even roadblock this. This gets coverage from this road and this gets coverage from the other. So this should all work now. And yeah, you can see everyone has iron, everyone is making weapons, and it's one warehouse delivering all that. We could always have more, but you could even add more. This is clearly, he has more time, so we could add even more now. And so now we should see weapons here, and they'll start buying them up, and that's our trade. So, you know, when there's trade limited space near your trade route, you can just do this. Also, something to note, as I said at the start, well, it's good idea to, like, when you start a map, you go into the custom empire and see, this quota is quite large. I will need a highway, probably, right? And so you plan ahead for it, and I'm not gonna build any nonsense here because I know this is gonna be my highway eventually. And so I'm gonna keep, like, yeah, you can build some stuff here, but I'm definitely gonna keep 2x2 space for the highway. Also keep in mind that highway is actually undesirable. If we go into commerce, no, sorry, it is desirability. You see that it actually is pretty bad. Some people might be confused because it turns the adjacent road into cobblestone road, which usually is an effect by you having desirable things around it, like here. It's actually just for the looks, because otherwise the dirt road would look really derpy around the highway, and that's why the devs made it like this, but it is actually really undesirable, and so it is a good idea to keep your highways separated from your blocks, as people would hate it when they would have to have this nearby their houses. So anyways, I thank you for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. I hope this helped some people, or like understand what goes into decision making, and I hope you have fun with the Conquered campaign, and see you around. Bye.